This is Talkaoke. It's a pop-up talk show, kind of from the future, or at least we are today. Come and take a seat. Give us a couple of minutes to help get this going. No, come and have a seat. Roll up to the table of chat. We don't know what we're going to be talking about yet. It's kind of up to you. Have a seat. So, my name's Mikey. Hello. And this is Talkaoke. It's a pop-up talk show where you decide what you want to talk about. So let's find out who we've got around the table. What's your name?
Chantal.
Oh, I'm going to turn you up a little bit. Chantal?
Chantal, yeah.
And...
yeah, I'm the lovely Stephanie.
Okay, the lovely Stephanie.
I'm Kelly.
Kelly, and...
I'm Phoenix.
Phoenix, the lovely Phoenix, can we call you? And...
Stephen.
Stephen?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Professor Prism.
Professor...
Prism.
Prism, not prison. Not like... No, Professor Prism.
I don't know much about prison.
You're trying to forget your past. Okay, so where are we going to go with this? We're here today, it's a lovely day. What's happening? What's the moment about right now? There's some... What are these strange probes with glowing lights on the end that somebody's walking past with?
Where? Can I get one?
I don't know. We'll have to find out. They're not really listening. Is it a lightsaber or is it some kind of future stimulator? Who knows? Anyway, it's up to me to provide the conversation. I just pass the microphone around. Anyone got anything they want to get the ball running with?
I don't know. It's getting pretty mixed up around here, clearly,
Yeah.
right? All kinds of things going on, huh?
Yeah.
Kind of loopy. Like you said, is it the future? Is it the past? Where are we, right?
Well, I mean, time traveling.
Time travelling, possibly.
Does
learning from the past and the future and rolling it all up together.
Phoenix, can I ask you a question though? Does time traveling lead necessarily to confusion?
To time travel lead to confusion?
Yeah, because you don't know if you're in the
not
past.
Necessarily. We had an old phrase, in confusion a rainbow shines through, but I went to visit a time travelling community in Italy called the Damanhur community.
Yeah.
And they say that time is a sea of now, and
Right.
they kind of get people to kind of... they train people, but it's kind of like astral projection at different points of the sea of now.
Right.
And
okay.
rather than it being past, present and future in linear.
So time is all
sea.
now. Okay, we're going deep very, very quickly. It's kind of up to you if you want to just follow this flow. Have you ever considered time travel, Stephanie?
Yeah, in some instances, yes. I have considered time traveling, but yeah, for now, I just like it in the present. I like living in the moment most times.
So you like to live in the moment.
Yes.
In this sea of now, do you see it as a sea of now?
Yes.
Okay. Time travel?
No.
Why? Is it because of the confusion that would occur if you did travel through time?
It's just unrealistic, really.
Unrealistic.
I'm sorry. Are you not traveling through time right now?
Yeah, okay. Do you see yourself as traveling through time when you live?
No.
No, okay.
I don't feel myself moving.
Okay, you don't feel that sense of travel.
Time is always moving, so you're moving through time.
Yeah.
So time travel.
But is it like
is
a river?
happening now.
Is it like a river where you're flowing through?
Just going.
Give us a final thought before you go. You go off to live the rest of your life?
We're going for a walk.
I'll see you in the future.
See you in the future.
I'll see you in the future.
Okay. All right, okay. Going to do a bit of psychological counselling for a friend.
This guy's a time traveler. Look at
Would you like to travel through time? Would you like to travel and would you go forward, would you go to the past or the future? And is going to the past travelling backwards in time or travelling forwards in time?
When you walk through here, it's a line, and it says by the time where we are at North Greenwich by the Millennium Dome. It says when you've read the thing over this line, you've travelled 1,250 metres in space or something. It's part of the way the Earth is moving around so fast.
I'm an American, so I'm kind of ignorant. Could you explain Greenwich a little better to me?
There's
this line that runs through here, right?
Yeah.
I'm not American. I'm just stupid. So I don't know, and I'm English. So I don't even know what the line is.
Okay, what is this line? What is this Greenwich line?
I only heard about it when I took the cable car because the DLR, the underground was like the Jubilee.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the signs over there, and you're like, yeah, I guess that's it.
We're going through
everyone talks about it, but I really.
Yeah. Has it got something to do with Greenwich Mean Time?
There's a bit of information there in the Phoenix databanks. Depends how far you want to go down the rabbit hole. So basically, I think Greenwich Mean Time, it's the 0 point that they measure plus 1, 2, 3, 4 hours or minus back to America, forward to Russia and Europe.
Yeah.
There was a time that they had it through France, I think.
Yeah.
There was something called a rose line or something. And I think through different ages it shifts around the planet or something. Different centres of where you measure. I mean, I suppose it's an imaginary line from where you measure time from. So the British Empire created Greenwich Mean Time, and a lot of the world followed it, I think.
Side on Greenwich, of all places. Why Greenwich?
Yeah, right.
I mean, why not like London, as it was before?
Something to do with the psychogeography of London. I think you might have to ask the Psychogeographical Society.
It's a What does that mean? Is it? I've got some.
People who study spaces around London and the architecture and what's been there before and what's around and stuff. I think. Well, different points in London have got different, psychic geography, things that happen down there through time.
So, welcome to Talkaoke. We've got Professor Prism and we've got Phoenix. What's your?
I'm Barbie.
Barbie. My name's Mikey. Hi. This is Talkaoke. At the moment we're sort of talking about time, but also Greenwich Mean Time. Do you know what this is?
That's the... I don't know, that's the line, right?
It's a line. It's an imaginary line. Apart from just outside here where it's a real line.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. They turn an imaginary line into a real line.
I guess it's like zero. It's like zero time.
Yeah.
Right?
I think they should have.
It's supposed to be the actual now. I mean, it's almost the ultimate imperialism, right?
Yeah.
It's like actually the rest of the world runs on our clock. This is now right here.
Yeah.
Let's be sure of that.
0 point line.
I mean, it's got to be somewhere, hasn't it? I mean, how else are they going to choose it apart from through conquering a third of the globe and then just kind of forcing their will on everybody else?
Couldn't we all just say it's now?
Now. Okay,
I mean, I don't want to be 4 hours in the past. It always messes me up. I travel somewhere and I'm like, is it tomorrow? Is it today?
Yeah, I don't know.
I just lost 4 hours or 13, right?
I don't know. If you've lost hours, gained hours, are we in the perpetual now? That's what we're talking about right now.
Actually exists though.
Well,
does time actually exist?
What do you mean by that?
I don't know. That was my friend actually asked me that the other day.
I mean, I wish I'd thought of that when I was running late for this gig, because James was like, "Where are you?" And I should have just said, "Look, does time actually exist anyway?" But I mean, in a way, I guess with all this kind of live streaming and the rest of it, we need to have a now. We need to have the same now as everywhere else, don't we? So, be it imperialistic or not, do we need this 0 point?
I fell in love with a woman in Australia once, and as I left her, I realized I was going to the past.
Right.
And she was perpetually in the future, and untouchable, therefore. And it really
was that the attraction in the first place?
Probably.
Okay.
The unattainable, right?
She was always there in the future. You were just trying to grasp that future. Okay. So we've got Professor Prism, we've got Phoenix, we've got Barbie. Mikey, what's your name?
I'm Aaron Roy. I'm here with Metal Mickey.
Okay. Are you Metal Mickey's chaperone?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Is it from the past, from the future, or a bit of both?
Well, let's say it's a bit of both. He's from an old 80s TV show.
Yeah.
But he's been revived and he's here today.
Okay.
And I think you guys will see him very soon.
Okay, so he's from the past, the future, and the present.
Exactly.
Okay.
Talkaoke table.
We could try and get
Mickey,
down.
I don't think I've seen him since 1980s. Very early kids
we
program.
We could bring him down. I think that the 0 point, and Rick's going to agree with me on this, I think the 0 point should actually be Kebab Zero at the bottom of Kingston Road, if you know Kebab Zero, because that is the 0 point of your evening. So, and it is aptly named Kebab Zero. But no, Rick knows what I'm talking about, don't you, Rick? Yeah, he still doesn't think it's funny. Anyway, come on and take a seat on the table of chat. We're talking about now and time. What is time? Have you ever wanted to travel through time?
The only thing that makes me think time might be real is sort of like right now, I've got to go to the bathroom, right?
Okay. I mean, yeah. We'll see you in the future, I suppose. You'll be lighter in the future from that time travel. Okay.
Sci-fi convention, and there's lots of books been written on Sci-Fi London. There's lots and lots of books in sci-fi have talked about either in the future or time travel or things like that. You know, it's definitely. I think sometimes things from sci-fi novels and films give us ideas. Things get created in the now because people have read something in a book that
science fiction actually dictates the future in a way.
A little example is like Star Trek and the mobile phone. There was no kind of the little communicators they had.
Oh yeah, those little
flipped them out, and then people were talking to each other. Nowadays, everyone's got a lot of people have got mobile phones. You can just communicate like
that. But it's probably about 15 years since they had those communicator-style kind of flip Nokia things. So. I don't know. Maybe they'll make a comeback in the future. Does sci-fi dictate the future, the real future?
I'd say so. If you had like a look at 2001: A Space Odyssey, inside the spaceship, they had they were using CRT TVs, and they placed them on a table to make them look like tablets. But like technology has progressed enough now. Such that like we have like the means to
have real tablets.
Exactly. So I suppose that it's an inspiration to the future.
I mean, what about the kind of like counter motif in 2001 of the computer kind of taking things over? Is that still a worry for us, or is it?
I mean, Elon Musk said himself that AI is should be our greatest enemy, didn't he?
Right. Okay.
And it's a danger that we should sort of learn to deal with now before it gets much worse.
Okay. Has it got bad already?
Well, I'm not quite sure. I mean, with like Amazon Alexa and Google Home, it's all very sort of personal now. But I mean,
have you got an Alexa?
I've got a Google Home actually. I use it all the time, and it syncs up with my phone. It's really good. But like,
has it got a name?
It's just called Google Home, really. I just call it Google.
Yeah. So as opposed to Alexa, I guess it's called Alexa. Okay, so we're talking about sci-fi. Does the sci-fi of today? Come and get involved in this. 2 minutes. Give us 2 minutes. It's a very pertinent question on the moment. Does the sci-fi of today inform our future? You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. We got Phoenix. We got Aaron, and Professor Prism. My name's Mikey. What's your name?
Thomas.
Okay, Thomas or Tommy? What do you want?
I don't know.
Okay. At the moment, this is Talkaoke. It's a free-form show. You can come and go as you want. It's kind of up to you. But right now, we're talking about does the sci-fi of today determine the future, such as the tablet as predicted in 2001: A Space Odyssey? Did you notice they had tablets in 2001: A Space Odyssey?
Did they have tablets?
Apparently, according to...
Well, they certainly had like telepresence to some extent, right? I mean, the whole the telephone situation at the beginning with the daughter, right?
Yeah.
And it seemed to be relatively in real time. There didn't seem to be a lag between them communicating in space to the Earth, right?
Yeah.
But according to relativity, actually, they're definitely in different times.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so in 2001 was a good example. Can anyone come up with any other examples?
I'm sorry, what was the example we were looking for?
Well, just how sci-fi has predicted the future.
Oh, well, Jules Verne, right?
Yeah.
I mean, almost Da Vinci to some extent, right? I mean, increasingly, people are so caught up in it, they said, no, science fiction isn't fiction anymore. This is how we predict the future. It's like our imagination bringing it into manifest, right?
So science fiction is actually a better predictor of the future. Any examples this side of how science fiction has predicted the future?
When does science fiction become science fact? That's the thing.
All right, I'm going to ask you then. When does it become science fact?
I haven't got a clue.
Are we living in a science fiction right now in a way where we've got all, we've got
things like look at teleportation, things like that. You've seen that in Star Trek and this, that, and the other. And if you search around the internet, you'll find that there is serious work being done on things like that.
Okay.
So, who knows what
teleportation?
I mean, I remember reading Viz back in 1985.
Yeah.
And they had a spoof ad in there with a black box, all the records ever recorded in a black box.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you put batteries in and it plays them, and then 10 years later they brought the iPod out.
Yeah.
It's like
okay. So So Viz even predicted the future.
An early bot maker.
Anyway, so we got Professor Prison. What was it again?
Aaron.
Aaron and Phoenix. Tommy. What's your name?
Johnny.
Johnny. I'm Mikey. At the moment, we're talking about when does science fiction become science fact?
Last afternoon. Yesterday afternoon.
Yesterday afternoon. Yes. It happens, yeah?
It all happened.
Is it always on a Thursday?
No, varying days.
How about when you were making Metal Mickey?
Yeah.
How did people interpret that when you said? I mean, how would you tell them? I'm making a robot, and they would say, "Well, you can't make a robot." Well, I mean, how would they interpret that at the time?
So you're the person that made Metal Mickey?
No, God no. He'll have my guts for garters. No, he'll be along later.
Yeah.
A chappie called Andrew Thompson built him.
Yeah.
I conceived the idea.
Yeah.
Basically, you want to know? Want to know the story?
Yeah.
You got time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to try and get a little bit more attention though about this because this is a person who conceived of Metal Mickey, Johnny.
Metal who? Who? Don't hit me.
Yeah. So tell us a story. Tell us a story how it happened.
I made a record. A song called Lollipop, 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 ooh, lolly, lolly. It wasn't the original, it was a cover of the Mudlarks.
Right.
So I made it with a group and I played it to John Schroeder, who was head of Pi Records at the time.
Yeah.
A big hit in America with Sleepy Shores. He said, "It's all right, Johnny, it's a good record, but it's not really different enough."
Yeah.
So I said, okay. So I went away.
You want it a bit different? Yeah.
I woke up having had this dream of a robot singing it. I called EMI Records.
Yeah.
Have you got anything that is robotically sounding robotically? They said, yes, we've got a robotically sounding tool called a vocoder.
A vocoder.
It was all new. Nowadays, they're all over the bloody place, excuse my French.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, took the master in.
You're responsible for Kanye West in a way.
Never heard of him. Anyway, long story short, I made the record, told everyone it was a robot. They said, great, where's the robot? I then had to go away and have a robot built.
Right.
Andrew Thompson was brought onto the scene. He built the baby for me and I've looked after him ever since. Paid all the bills.
Right. Okay.
Blah, blah, blah.
So,
I'm his manager.
Okay, so in a way it's like the mother and the father. You're like the father.
Yeah.
And what's the name of the other guy that actually made
Andrew Thompson.
And Andrew's the mother of Metal Mickey. And you're the babysitter.
Was Metal Mickey a predictor?
Did it predict the future? That's the question. Did it predict the future?
Metal Mickey created the future.
Okay. Okay, so how? Tell us a bit more how.
He said, boogie boogie, and the future was created.
Right, okay.
That's how it works.
Okay, so the future just kind of like comes, it just arrives with a few magic words.
To see, for young people to see, I remember back in the 80s watching that, seeing robots and things like that. Now we're moving into a future where China, Japan, all over the world, America, they're developing these robots that are walking, that have got, some level of AI starting to go into things. It is, in some ways science fiction books written about robots back in, whatever, the 1920s, 1930s. You look at, some of the famous ones, Metropolis or Tesla or all sorts, they started to imagine in futures and things. Asimov, did a lot on that.
Yeah.
Imagining futures through the books, and then, people start making robots and creating the futures.
Yeah.
Exactly what it was right now, but I believe it was a Czechoslovakian play.
Yeah.
Was the first mention of a robot, and it wasn't called a robot, but I forget exactly what that story is. But something that came out of theater, right, out of storytelling, right? About this future, and as utopian or dystopian as it might be, we seem to plot ourselves toward it. I think it's one of those almost like an intent thing. You imagine something, and by your focus on it, you kind of are drawn towards it.
I mean, if there was no sci-fi, would we have a different future? Or is it actually creating the futures? I mean, are there countries where they don't have sci-fi? And do they have a different idea of the future? Any thoughts on this side?
Well, I think it's certainly wrapped up in Western culture and our notion of progression.
Yeah.
So perhaps in a society where they didn't have that, they'd think of it differently. But I think imagination would still be there, right?
Right.
And it just seems to be for us, whatever reason, we seem to be at least especially now, heavily focused on thinking of the future.
Yeah.
And there's some amazing techno lust all over the planet Earth to figure out what's next, what's tomorrow, what's the day after, right?
Yeah. Okay, so it's part of this narrative of progress. I'm going to condense that down to Professor.
Are you broadcasting this or recording it?
We're recording it. We're going to put it online, I think.
Online? It's
but we
not
also,
a radio station or whatever?
Later on, we're going to try and...
Just interested.
Maybe we can ask James about this, or Albert. Are we're going to try and transmit this to Stratford? I'm not sure exactly how it's going to happen. So... You've got a cardboard box, okay. We're talking about the future at the moment. We're talking about...
Haydock Park. Who's going to win the 4:30 at Haydock Park?
Okay.
That's the future.
Okay.
Let me know, I'll have a score on it.
Yeah.
Can you believe that this is the future?
Give me the score. Yeah.
You wouldn't think a year ago that we would have cardboard boxes as a new future thing, but cardboard is also in the past. This is the new Nintendo Switch accessory. So basically, you build it. I know. You build it, and it's an accessory for the Switch. So yeah.
So I mean, in a way, talking about 2001 or something like that, there wasn't much cardboard or stuff like that. But actually, these are also going to be part of. What's that?
Does it have a yogurt carton with it?
The irony is, I can program video games and make films and do lots of techie stuff, but I actually have no idea what I'm doing with this piece of cardboard.
Yeah.
It looks. I don't know how to do it at all.
Have you seen a program called Blue Peter?
I have.
Okay. No, what I'm trying to do here, Tommy, is like link everything together. That's my job, is to link all the different threads. Johnny, give us a final thought before you go.
Say it again?
Give us a final thought.
A final thought?
Yeah. I mean...
Der Schnellzug von Antwerpen erreicht um 5 Uhr. Ja!
Yeah, something about 5 o'clock. The Zeppelin leaves at 5 o'clock or something like that. But okay, where we're going to go with this? Come and take a seat. We need people like you. Any thoughts on the future? What are you doing? What's going on in there? Come and sit. Let's 2 minutes. Let's at least find out who you are. We've got Chantel. We have got Phoenix. We have got Tommy and Mikey. And maybe come on, give us a couple of minutes. What's your name?
Galina Rin.
Can I just call you Galina?
You can call me Rin.
Rin, okay. Okay, so we've got Rin as well. Any thoughts on the future? Is it determined by the imagination of sci-fi writers in the main? Is it just another kind of facet of our imagination? We're talking a little bit about cardboard. Is the future going to be more made out of cardboard? Can you help Chantel construct this cardboard thing? These are some of the themes on the table. Any thoughts about the future?
Well, I write my own sci-fi comic, which is helpfully right behind us.
Yeah.
And if our future is based on that, then we're all goners.
Really? We're all toast?
We're all toast.
Okay. Is it not a little bit negative, though?
No, it's absolutely freeing in your own lifestyle to know how it ends.
Are we all going to be toast in the future? That's what we're talking about right now. That's what Rin says.
I like to be a piece of toast.
Okay.
With a bit of butter.
Okay, you wouldn't mind being toast.
Just slightly toasted, not too toasted, not too bread.
Okay, so we got Chantel, we got Rin, we got Phoenix, we got Tommy. What's your name?
Maddie.
Maddie. I mean, this is Talkaoke. I don't know if you're familiar with the format. Oh, you're coming back because I need a final thought. Okay. At the moment, we're talking about how the future is determined by science fiction. We just had the creator of Metal Mickey on the table, and he was talking about this idea that just came to him of a robot in the home. And now, of course, we've got Alexa, we've got Google Home. It's got some of those other robots. But Rin's vision of the future is much darker and more dystopian. It's not dystopian.
There is just no future. Humanity just gets wiped out completely and leaves the planet to go back to whatever the planet was doing before we got here.
Okay.
So that's like WALL-E then? That's the WALL-E plot?
Yeah. WALL-E.
WALL-E.
Yeah.
No, because humanity still exists in WALL-E.
Yeah.
mine, they get to leave, but they have to die. So yeah.
And what causes this humanitarian destruction?
In this one, it's a depression virus, a purposely built depression virus.
A depression virus?
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, everyone gets manically depressed and then tries to kill everyone around them.
Right.
So humanity gives up a control of the planet to an AI called Okami.
Right.
And then they get scared that Okami has too much power, much like in 2001. But
we were talking about that earlier.
So we just get confused as to what the greater consciousness wants to do with us. So we run away from the planet, and our captain becomes manically depressed, think he has the virus, but he doesn't, and wipes out humanity into a nearby planet.
Okay, sounds very cheerful. Any thoughts?
Is good. When you know the outcome of something, then you can do whatever you want.
You can plan.
You can plan for it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Very good point. And speaking of exactly that, I just found out that there are instructions for this.
Okay.
That you have to have the game to do it. So I'm gonna go do that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Have you got a final thought about
always read the instructions?
Okay. Do you think if they'd have read the instructions to the supercomputer, then it might not have gone so badly wrong?
Maybe, but humans don't read the instructions, and they don't really trust a lot.
Okay.
That's our problem.
What do you think is going to happen in the future? Are we all going to be wiped out by?
No, I don't think so. I think the essential human spirit ultimately will win out. It really will. You might get down to the last few, but somebody will just not accept defeat. That's probably me.
It's not really down to me in the middle of the table, but as we've got not many people around the table, I want to tell you about my sci-fi story, which is also virus-based. But what it is, it's a virus that causes people to make really bad puns, and then it's being experimented on. Yeah, exactly. I've got it already. In a laboratory, and then somehow it leaks out, and then the only way you can tell that people have got the virus is when they start doing really bad puns.
Do you know a woman called Alex Fox? I feel like you should know this journalist called Alex Fox.
Well, I don't. Not yet, anyway.
And her email address is puns of steel, so you really need to get down with Alex Fox.
Okay. Anyway, watch out for that. We'll be coming to screen near you. Is it inevitable that we'll all be wiped out by a virus sooner or later?
Have you read the book Everything is About to Kill Us All the Time? I don't know who wrote it.
No, I haven't, no.
You should read that. It's about how we're very close to death at any point.
Right.
Between nuclear attack and disease. You should know this stuff.
Okay.
It's they should be teaching kids in school, quite frankly.
You think that kids should be much more aware of imminent global destruction? Maddie, give us a final thought before you go.
A final thought? I just don't think for a second any of us is going to happen, really. I think we'll imagine all sorts of horrors, and then somebody will come up with a solution.
So you've got faith in science, or at least creativity.
And the human spirit, actually.
Okay.
They just won't end up being defeated. Oh, God.
So whatever... Come and have a seat. Can we get involved in this? Whatever the world throws at us, the universe throws at us, we can resolve it. We can actually find a way to overcome, be it a depression virus or a pun virus, whatever it is, we can overcome it. We can develop the vaccine.
Well, I can certainly empty a room or table quite quickly with any of my topics. So if you want me to empty tables for you later, I shall be here all week.
No, I wouldn't read it like that. In my mind, I think what it's about is a challenging subject that people, we need to sometimes look. For example, this man, Professor Prism, global death and destruction. Rin over here has kind of said eventually something's going to wipe us out. In her story, it's all about a virus that causes awful depression. In my story, it's that there's a virus that causes people to.
Oh, well, I think people already identified that virus by various names. So definitely certainly a part of our current conditions. So disease of the West, right? But I don't know. I think that sort of stuff, as you can see, there's something in us as beings where we've done this throughout our existence. It's almost like a sadistic thing, really. We long for our elimination.
Right.
You know, and I mean, come on, you're old like me. I mean, how many times are the comet, Y2K, year 2000, you know, terrorism,
2012,
whatever, 2012,
the Mayan prophecy.
Right. So you know,
you think we're actually longing? There's a part of us that actually wants to be destroyed, end it all now, and not just me personally, but this. Yeah.
Listen to John Mayer's Gravity, that song Gravity, and it explains it all.
Is that the thing that was turned into the film?
Sorry?
Was that the thing turned into the film with George Clooney?
No, I think they just happen to have the same name, but completely it's different contexts.
Okay.
Like a Shiva thing. I think we get too lost in false dichotomies that destruction is not creation and vice versa. I mean, when you create stuff, you usually are destroying something from one state and turning it into something else. And the same thing with destruction, right?
Destruction's transformative in a way. And you get something new, could be more interesting.
It's this idea that like there used to be a perfect Earth.
Yeah.
Really? Because I'm sure Earth a long time ago, used to just be a lot of molten whatever. And then it turned into a lot of cold, hard rock. Yeah. And eventually, that rock started turning into dirt and soil, and we get all this other stuff, right? And life shows up. But so which state, like which one's destruction? Which one's perfect? Right?
I'm old enough to remember the mid-90s where you could not get an
rock formations.
No, but you could not get an.
I don't think you're that old.
You could not get an espresso anywhere in London apart from 3 cafes in Soho.
Too much sushi. Not much sushi back then.
No, there was nothing.
There's a Mexican place, dude. There's a Mexican place 2 doors down in London.
I know. There was nothing 25 years ago. Absolutely nothing. This place was barren. So we are moving on. Things are improving.
But isn't there a theory by people who are very intelligent, not me, but other people, that say that the reason we haven't come across aliens is because most civilizations don't get past a certain point because they end up wiping themselves out by accident. So it's actually not a human thing to want to wipe ourselves out. Maybe it's just nature does it by accident anyway.
It's so easy in a way to wipe out the entire species.
My favorite is that it's not so much that they've been wiped out or that they don't want to talk to us, is actually they're doing better things. They're already lost on their own VR.
Yeah.
They're like, hey guys, and they put this on, and so they're not paying attention to us anymore. They're in totally different realities.
They're so confused. We get back to the whole confusion thing. That they might know of us, but they might think we're part of a simulation.
You guys know about CE5? Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind?
No.
Spiritual encounters with beings from other places?
That's because people won't believe the people. When people say they were taken up by a UFO, people are like, nah, we've had too many people say that now. So now they're like, oh yeah, I was high on acid and I met an alien. That is not a direct quote, by the way, from me.
Okay, we've got Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. Come and get involved in a Close Encounter of the First Kind.
So on
Talkaoke, I'm just doing a plug here, but I'll come to you in a second. No, what we need to do is a compelling conversation that everybody, like this man over here, will feel compelled to join in on.
He's posted a duty.
He said, really? Can you not come and stand over here? Sit over here. Yeah.
My son saw a truck when we were driving to the airport the other day. It was I think it was like a Ford F-150, but it said Super Duty. He was like, Super Duty. I'm like, yeah, it does say Super Duty. Anyway, we digress.
That's what Talkaoke is all about. So what are we talking about? We're talking about
spiritual encounters. So I think I learned this like through Ancient Aliens kind of folk, and what's that guy, Graham? I don't remember what his name is right now. But anyway, so he's got this group, and they will go out in the desert and meditate and be like, hey, contact us, Hare Krishna. I mean, I'm joking. I think it's pretty cool actually. I think it's a really interesting concept because personally, I know that when I meditate and stuff, it seems like beyond. It kind of comes back to what we were talking about before. Like it's sort of like beyond space and time.
Yeah. So time
could you send a signal? Could you send a signal to these beings? Maybe.
Could we connect with aliens spiritually on the spiritual plane? Would that actually?
I'm ever so slightly worried that Scientologists aren't trying to get there first. I mean, is this not? I mean, maybe. Well, there you go. Surely, just like sitting in a desert, getting dehydrated in a lot of hot sun will make you see an awful
Is that another pyramid scheme?
I think they do it at night. Yeah, it looked pretty fun. They weren't too weirded out by it, but I thought it was a really noble idea. And just try to send a message out to the universe as, hey, we don't want to kill you. We're not all stupid.
Yeah.
Please help us.
Okay, we're talking about aliens. Do you believe in alien life? And what's the best way to contact aliens? Is it through... Okay, come and sit down, come and talk to us. I'm trying my best. Close encounters. I think that was the third kind rather than...
Terence McKenna sort of had CE5, but he accomplished it through the use of mushrooms in the forest down in wherever, right?
Yeah. What aliens did he contact?
I don't know. I don't know too much about it. Where's Batuan when you need him?
Yeah.
There he is, right over. We'll get him in on this. Let me go.
Okay, drag him in because I don't know what that's about. Can we contact aliens? That's what we're talking about. There's one right here. I'm trying to make contact but failing. Do you believe in alien life? Okay. Right. So come and have a seat. Come and get involved in this. We're talking about alien life, or the possibility of alien life. Do aliens exist, and how do we contact them? Professor Prism here has said the best way to do that may be through a kind of close encounter of the fifth kind, the spiritual connection with aliens. That's what we're talking about right now. So we've got Professor Prism, we've got Rin. What's your name?
Eileen.
Eileen,
yeah.
And
Batuhan.
Batuhan, welcome. Have you got any views on this? Do you think it's possible to contact aliens in any way?
Well, yeah, I mean, my curiosity is like, why do we separate ourselves from aliens?
What do you mean?
We are aliens.
We are aliens. Well, that's somebody else said that just now.
For example, like in...
Yeah. Come and talk, come sit down and get involved.
For example, like in Islamic countries, there's the concept of, there's these beings called genies.
Yeah.
And they also they're mentioned in Quran as well. And then the Quran says that the Quran is sent for human beings and genies. And it says that genies are aware of humans, but humans don't know where genies are.
Right.
Whereas if you look at the English language, there is a word in any other language they separate human beings and genies, but in English language there's a word called genius.
Yeah.
It's for someone who's creative, who's, and the word stands for someone who uses the genie within is genius.
Okay, so the genie is within us in a way.
and from here, my point is if you, we keep looking for aliens, up in space or in deep sea, but there are far more alien encounter reports that people report after experience, a DMT breakthrough.
Yeah.
And during those experiences,
What's a DMT breakthrough?
But only if you're over 18.
So no, but just explain it to me.
Well, DMT. It's the most powerful psychedelic substance that we all have within our bodies.
Like Terence did, isn't that the whole idea? Terence went down with some buddies, went to the jungle. I don't know if they ate some mushrooms or did some DMT, and met these aliens who said, because you don't believe in us, you're going to speak for us. This is my understanding of, very, very layman, but one of his talks I was listening to recently, he said that because he was always very skeptical, he would say that believe the opposite so that you don't, or believe nothing, so that you're open. And he was contacted, it was his own words, I assume he was saying it, although these days that can be faked, right? Saying they contacted us because of my skepticism, and I'm here to be their spokesman.
Okay.
Terence also gives the example of this. He says that the only follower of Jesus that experienced God was the one that doubted Jesus.
Right.
Because every other follower of Jesus were they were blindly, just following Jesus. Whereas this one guy, I don't remember the name of the saint, but he told Jesus that how much he loved him, but he would never believe in God unless he experienced God. And then he offers him this pouch where and it takes his hand and then puts his hand in, and then it's a symbol, and then he experiences God. So only human being other than Jesus that experienced God in Bible is the one that doubted him.
Okay, so doubt is an important part of belief.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a great time for you to plug your amazing painted jacket. Once you turn around and show that to the camera. Because
how does this relate to Jesus?
No, hold on a second. So what do we have back here?
Oh,
that looks like manna to me. That looks like manna. What did the Jews, the Israelites, do in the desert for 40 days? How did they eat according to the Bible? What did they survive on? How did they see a burning bush? How did they experience God?
Yeah.
where like if you look at the mountain where where Moses received all these messages and tablets, that mountain is full of flowers that contain DMT, like or like the caves, like Muhammad used to go to this cave and isolate himself, and then Jesus has like 10 years of his life that no one knows what he did. It's like there is a connection between religion and psychedelics. That's
okay.
It's not aliens. That's just getting high as balls before you're 30.
Yeah. I mean,
everyone
can I
gets
just?
high as balls in their 20s.
Why do people get higher? Why are people getting higher?
Because they're bored, I'd imagine.
I think it's embedded within us. I mean, the thing is, if you change the word angels with aliens, you have a whole different story. So what we used to call as angels, now we call as aliens, and it's going to be called something else. And it's just like, but we have this thing, like if you look at cave art, for example, like the first Homo sapiens that painted, like the first artists were actually shamans, because they were like, if you look at the cave art, they weren't just painting random things. There are some cave paintings that like, they're painting beings that people are reporting today. They're already painted on the walls. They're not just mammoths or animals that they were hunting. And if you look at the places that they choose to, they decided to use it as a cave painting area, they're usually like 1 or 2 kilometers deep in the cave, so they're completely dark, and they're acoustically perfect for to run a ceremony there. Right. So these people were like, and Lewis Williams, who is an anthropologist, who argues that like these people were actually exploring the altered states of consciousness.
Let's fast forward to like right now. I mean, I just saw in the newspaper recently that here in London, or should I say the UK, they're doing clinical studies for the use of MDMA, which is a psychoactive, I mean, it's a psychedelic, right? Yeah. They're using this as medicine to get people to stop abusing other things. So, I mean, I think this was part of my problem growing up is everyone said, yeah, you're going to get high, and it becomes this party thing. And I think we're starting to realize there's actually something much more significant happening there, and it can be used for therapeutic reasons if we just remove this whole party aspect from it.
Yeah, I mean...
That's how we would have come up with the use of it in the first place, right? Like ecstasy being a diet pill and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And marijuana was,
I mean, I guess, is there a question about how we, in a way, ethically or morally treat getting higher? I mean, because on the one hand, it's seen as very sacred or very, very profane, but not something in between.
I'm actually part of those studies at Imperial College. Not the MDMA study, but I'm part of the DMT study. So I volunteered in the DMT study, and I was.
What have you actually signed up? What have you signed up for?
Well, I signed up for a Matrix experience. Like I had these things attached to my body, and then I was giving the high dose of DMT, and then I was questioned about my entity encounters.
How was the DMT given to you?
It was very powerful. It was really interesting. But what really interests me more is that
did you smoke it or did you?
No, injection.
Injection.
Yeah. And it's like what really fascinates me is like institutions like Imperial College and King's College are actually interested in entity encounters, and that is science fiction becoming science fact.
Okay. Well, that seems.
Yeah, they're highly interested in the entity encounters that people report under the influence of DMT.
Entity, I'm sorry?
Entity encounters.
The other thing I wanted to make the point, like, it is true that like people like because of the media's media created this view on drugs that you do them for fun, and there is nothing wrong about doing them for fun. Yeah. And as in fact, like everybody first, most people don't take mushrooms to, to go within and, understand themselves. Most people take mushrooms to just get fucked, and they want to see flying pink elephants. But at some point, they go like, man, this is beyond getting fucked. There's something else in this world. I must investigate this, and that's what we need.
So they almost accidentally encounter.
We should embrace the fun. We should embrace the. You got Rupert Sheldrake, like the parapsychology researcher. He said that the best way to solve the world's problem is to it comes through like running a better party.
Okay. So party research could be a kind of discipline of the view. You've been hanging around. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. But I guess what we're talking about now is, the use of psychedelics as a way to kind of contact some kind of other plane. It's a subject of scientific research at Imperial College and King's College. are we kind of demonizing the getting high element to this?
See, I don't know. I think there's other ways to quote unquote get high, and I wish I didn't use that term. I wish it wasn't associated. Actually, when I used to do Tai Chi, my teacher was always adamant that you can reach those states in other ways, and that it doesn't necessarily require an ingestion of a particular substance so much as a mental attitude and a tuning of yourself to this, so that you're receptive to it. It's sort of like the microdosing trend that's going on these days. So Timothy Leary is the whole idea. Take a mega dose, right? Take a 100 micrograms, or what is it, milligrams? No, whatever.
A lot, anyway.
Microns, I don't know,
Let's
whatever.
just say a lot.
Yeah. Well, take a massive dose, right?
Yeah.
Like slap yourself in the face, right? Bend reality, and you get so out there, right? Which I guess it may have some merits, but it ultimately bends you pretty hard. And so people are saying, hey, instead of doing that, why don't we take a little bit of it?
Yeah.
So little actually that it's almost imperceptible. Yeah. And with this, there are all kinds of breakthroughs. Personally, I mean, you can go read about it. It's all over these days. People are doing it. Silicon Valley, doctors all over the place. And, even back to the origins of it, these scientists start taking it and claiming they have all these breakthroughs.
If you think about it, like, we are this body that we are inside, we're having this experience through, it's a biological computer. And your consciousness is like the software. So this is the hardware and then the software. And it's like on a computer, you can upgrade your system, and the same as the biological computer, you can upgrade it through different chemicals, through meditation or through breath work. And when you upgrade the system, like the hardware, so then the hardware can connect to different channels, different networks.
What about downgrading your system?
You can.
Yeah.
Right. That's not just hokey pokey. I mean, or hokey finoki or whatever it is.
Or talkaoke.
Exactly. Talkaoke. We actually know that. These scientific studies have shown that forms of meditation actually produce new pathways in the brain, right? And psychedelic substances do this as well.
Whoa. Yeah.
And some of them are only temporary with some of those substances, but others aren't. And it actually produces new pathways in your brain. So, to some extent, you're literally upgrading your hardware.
Okay.
You can upgrade your hardware by learning to play an instrument or learning language, for example.
Yeah.
And then, Gainsborough has the Dream Machine, which is the spinning metal cylinder around a light bulb that's put inside. And if you stand that far away from it and close your eyes, you start to hallucinate. And if you get one of those, they're pretty good. And
Next time I did Talkaoke, there was one right there.
Yeah, just flashing away. Yeah.
One thing that I don't like hearing is like when people say that like, you don't need drugs to do this, or you don't.
Well, at the moment, we're talking about upgrading ourselves in different ways.
We've upgraded ourselves to eye dots. Everyone should get down with the eye dots. It is the way forward.
Okay, it's an upgrade. Okay, so we have got Professor Prism, we've got Rin, we've got Eileen, we've got Butterhan. My name's Mikey. What's your name?
Nandi.
What's it?
Nandi.
Yeah. At the moment we're talking, we started talking about the future, but then we talked about aliens and contact with aliens. And the consensus around the table is that the best way to contact aliens is through close encounters of the fifth kind, which is a kind of spiritual contact with aliens, where you're kind of go to a different plane, a different dimension, and somehow contact other entities. But then we sort of started talking about just the benefits of this kind of. People around the table have called it upgrading yourself to a different reality in all its forms, be it meditation, psychedelic drugs, cyberdelics, as they have here, and that's what we're talking about right now.
To me, all of those things are just different aspects of consciousness. It doesn't matter if it's artificial, alien, human, animal, spiritual, whatever. It's going to be degrees of consciousness, really.
Yeah. So it's all about just upgrading your consciousness in a way. Not upgrading, expanding.
Somehow tapping into it, by which means may not be of the greatest importance. But if it's technological, it will be easier to spread, easier to continue working as a group with it, perhaps.
Okay, are you off, Rin?
I'm going to go and get some water.
Give us a final thought for now.
Everything moves towards its end.
Okay. Thanks for that cheery final thought. It was a very final thought as well. Come and have a seat, come and get involved in this. So we're talking about upgrading consciousness, we're talking about
cybernetics or
we're talking about cyberdelics.
I was going to say that from my understanding of what is a cyborg, the original concept of a cyborg way back when is the ability to enhance a human so that it can actually live on hazardous environments such as Mars. So the idea of because a human cannot live on Mars, we've got two options. We can either terraform the planet or transfer the human. So if we go through transfer the human to give them lungs, metal lungs, so they can breathe the atmosphere, change the blood.
But what about the mind? Because we're talking about the mind. Would the mind need to be upgraded as well?
The mind is already being upgraded. I mean, can you look around us at this moment here in Hackstock, where we are putting the pinnacle of all technology to the test, and see if you can see any Neanderthal, I can't even pronounce it, cavemen around here. We have been upgraded through evolution over time, and in the future we will be upgraded through cybernetic implants. Already we have implants that goes into people's minds to allow them to control prosthetic hands and limbs. When going further, Johnny Mnemonic, the film, way back when, was ahead of its time, where they can take out implant memory chips into a person's brain to increase, to make themselves a walk-in hard drive. And this is all going forward into the future.
Let me spread this out then, and what do people think about this? I mean, the cyborg, is the cyborg an upgraded body, an upgraded mind?
Well, I mean, you are to an extent a cyborg. I mean, you're wearing glasses. You know, the glasses, and then we don't consider them as technology because you know they're just so part of our daily lives now. But like your glasses are it will be an ultimate technology for a caveman that didn't have clear vision, you know. Exactly. And so we are, and I also feel that like we're already cyborgs because we use smart devices, and almost like 90% of our society cannot live without internet connection.
An upgrade to the mind, the smartphone?
Well, it's an extension of the mind.
You're nodding, Eileen?
Yeah, I'm just saying, we're always like walking around with our phones, so it is like everything is on here.
So that's also an upgrade to our brain.
Like, Plato always talked about the world of thoughts. And that world of thoughts is the internet, is the cyber world. And if you look at the creation of the personal computer and these networks, is that one of the main catalysts that was in the creation of the cybernetic networks and personal computers was the feeling of oneness that hippies felt in 60s under the influence of psychedelic substances. And they wanted to share this feeling with people through technology. And through that, like, we created the cyberspace, which is the world of thoughts. And I think an alien encounter, like we always think about the alien encounter will come from space in flying saucers and stuff. And I think that also shows our ego, because we're not looking for an alien civilization. We're looking for a more advanced human civilization. Terence McKenna used to say like an alien encounter will be something really alien.
So the aliens that are normally represented in science fiction are kind of just projections of ourselves, a more advanced version of ourselves, rather than a truly alien.
Totally agree with that. I mean, when you see something like Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, Babylon 5, they're always like bipedal humanoid with American accents. But something is alien. If you look at the term, what does the word alien mean? It means it's something that's so far out there that it's beyond our own comprehension of understanding and sometimes even thought. What if the shade of blue was a sentient life form? How can you perceive that or understand that? We don't in our science fiction, because that's why, as I totally agree with what you're saying, it's an extension of ourselves. Take Star Trek, for instance. The Klingon Empire, as they spread out across the galaxy, conquering one star system after another, that was the Mongolian Empire of our past. almost every single faction, every single fiction in Star Trek is a representation of humanity at one point or another.
Are there any representations of aliens you think are a bit more out there and less projections of humanity that you can think of in
The aliens in Arrival are pretty interesting.
In Arrival?
Yeah, the movie about finding a language to communicate between entities, and they live outside of time somehow.
Right.
I think another time-based alien are the aliens in Edge of Tomorrow.
Right.
Where they also reset time just to learn how their opponents fight, and then they reset that time every day to outconquer their opponent. I mean, that is a different type of alien that isn't human-like.
When it comes to aliens, should we be thinking a little bit more out of the box? And in general, we should be thinking, okay. Hang on a sec.
There should be no box.
Okay. Is there a box?
There should be no box.
But is there a box, do you feel?
For a lot of people, there is a fictive box that they put themselves within continuously, for sure.
Okay, so not only is it a box, it's a victim box. But we need to think outside the box for everything, really, and not just alien.
I think that will also attract aliens as well. I mean, if you were an alien being and watching, human civilization, you would choose to contact the ones that are thinking out of the box.
I mean, say they tuned into Hackstock and what was going now. Do you think this would be attractive enough for them, or do you think it would be quite?
I mean, there must be some aliens.
Yeah. Would it attract aliens, this event today?
Of course. I mean, we're talking about counterculture here. We're talking about sharing and caring and also raising the love frequency in this dimension.
Okay, so we are certainly. And I just want to say, if there's any aliens out there, be you the shade of blue, be you some kind of timeless entity, do come and have a seat or make your presence known somehow on the table of chat. Maybe you already have. I don't know. But anyway, so at the moment we're talking about, I think, the Nandy's point about thinking outside the box. Maybe we can come and sit down, come and get involved in this. We're trying. Your point was that we should be thinking outside the box all the time, in a way, and this box thinking is a kind of victim thinking.
I don't know if I call it victim thinking, but I think to me, it seems like creating as much future in the present as possible will enable us to have future technology faster, rather than trying to make as much revenue in between now and the future, and see whatever happens as a result.
Okay. What's your name?
Claudius.
Steve, and we've got Nandi, we've got Eileen, we've got Batahan. Come and join in, come and get involved in this. Okay, give us a final thought.
Just keep wondering.
Keep wondering, okay. Is that wondering with an A or wondering with an O?
It's curiosity. Just follow your curiosity, no matter what it is. Just follow it. As long as you respect other people, it should be fine.
Okay.
Just be open for everything.
Okay. All right. Well, we're certainly going to do that. We've lost Claudius. This is us two. It's us three. Give us a final thought or initial thought.
Thought about what?
Well, I mean, do you think there's a few things on the table? There's the thing about aliens. Are we a bit too closed-minded about what aliens could be?
Are we a molecule in a big atom rolling around some, I don't know, George Carlin's, a piece of dirt?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a question of scale.
Carlin said that as the big atom theory.
Thank you. That was a good point. Yeah.
That was a quote from George Carlin. He's the big atom theory, that we are all elements of the great giant atom that floating around the cosmos. Okay. Nothing means anything. Everything means nothing. It all just is.
Okay. So I guess we're all part of a single atom.
But the relationship to aliens is pretty interesting in Hitchhiker's Guide as well, right? Where everything's like a calculation in one way or another and set up by some other entity, and everything. It's obviously to some extent, yeah. I mean, but also just how things are. Like, is everything a calculation as well? If it can be translated into mathematics, is it a continuous calculation, or is it just happening and can be described by mathematics?
Okay. Well, are we part of a giant computer? Rick, come and get involved in this. You've got some views on this. I just want to get our cameraman involved, just because otherwise, if he doesn't, what?
something that I wanted to put to you guys. As you were saying about maths and mathematics, I've got quite a fair amount of theories going on here. I say, I'll put the statement out here, that we live in a finite universe. There is no such thing as infinity. Infinity cannot exist in a finite universe. Infinity is a mathematical concept we invented to perceive things we cannot understand.
That's just too big for our calculators.
Yeah.
When the calculator goes E, basically.
We just can't. Let's just say they say the gravitational pull of a black hole is infinite, and I say no. It's not infinite, because if it was infinite, we would all be destroyed.
Okay.
The gravitational pull of a black hole is just so vast, so mind-bogglingly big, that we cannot see its end. Everything ends. Everything.
Well, that's what Rin was saying.
Everything has. There's only two things that are guaranteed, absolute guaranteed: a beginning and an end. And then in such an environment, in such a universe, there can be no place for infinity.
Okay. Heavy stuff. Okay, so what's your name?
Rick.
Rick, we were talking about aliens and what sort of form they take, but we've sort of moved on now, and we're talking about, is there such a thing as infinity in our universe, or is it just where the calculator just goes to that E display where it just can't deal with the numbers anymore? And that's what we call infinity.
What my take on this is, he's right.
Yeah.
There is an end, and we're all traveling swiftly towards it. It's one big happy bubble of consciousness.
Okay, so there is definitely an end. You're agreeing about this finiteness.
Yeah, let's do it.
The grand entropy theory, where everything in nature is breaking down. Everything that's created, everything that is constructed will eventually end.
Okay, Nandi, have you got any views on this?
I mean, it will obviously be interesting in such a theory to understand the reason for the beginning, or how the beginning came to be.
Yeah, okay. And what about the end? You're not that bothered about the end?
I don't think I'll be around.
Okay, well, you weren't around at the beginning either.
True, but the beginning would be more interesting than the end, as a concept.
The beginning holds more fascination with this beginning and end sort of thing. How did the beginning begin? From nothing. Come and have a seat on the table of chat. When did the universe begin? How? Are you not bothered about that?
I've got my.
Is it too? Yeah. Rick, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I guess it's interesting to see what will come from the energy of the end of the universe, really. What will be created from that energy.
Do you sort of agree with this thing that it will end?
Yeah, at some point, yeah.
Do you think there's such a thing as infinity apart from in mathematics?
No, I kind of agree to some extent. There's got to be something. Can't just go on forever, no.
It can't just go on forever. I mean, does that mean it's going to end or just simply change?
I would imagine something would come from destruction, something else would be created. That's what I think.
Okay, so it's not like it's not totally nothing, but there's something new.
Actually, it is nothing, because I've got literally hundreds of theories, or should I say hypotheses, because I haven't put any of these down in paperwork. Now, let's say we take a trip, going out to the edge of the universe, going to the very end of the universe, and we come to the border where the universe ends. Everyone would ask me, well, if the universe ends, what's on the other side of the edge of the universe? There must be something. So to answer that question, we have to go back in time to the very beginning, to before the universe was even created. Now, what we know as physics and mathematics in today, 1 + 1 = 2, 0 + 0 = 0. But before the Big Bang, physics goes out the window. What we know as physics before the creation of the universe does not exist. It was completely different.
So in physics, you never get something coming from nothing.
Now, before the Big Bang, before the creation of the universe, what if 0 + 0 = 0 + 0 + 0 + 1? 0.0001, and therefore from nothing create something. Before we had dimensions, before we had reality, before we had thought, we had nothing. We had zero-dimensional space.
Okay.
Now you cannot perceive a zero-dimensional space because you are a three-dimensional construct. So in zero-dimensional space, nowhere is everywhere, and everywhere is nowhere.
Okay.
No infinity.
I think we get the idea.
I mean, it's not a scientific concept, but I like weighing the idea of consciousness arising before materia.
Yeah.
And then it changes a lot of the rules of how to think of things.
Because you think consciousness existed before matter?
So matter would be a result of consciousness.
Matter is a result of consciousness, not the other way around, as we. As
I mean,
some
that's
of
an
us
interesting concept that comes from some religious backgrounds, which I think is a valid view to also keep in mind before we have the book with all the answers.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go.
All right, give us a final thought.
We are all made of stardust.
Okay.
In that way, in that way, gold is far more interesting than diamond, right? Because gold is like neutron star collapsion results,
and
while
diamond is
just like compressed carbon that you can get here that rains on other planets in our solar system.
Okay, so gold is a much more. Is that the?
It's conceptually more interesting.
Okay.
Because it needs so much more power to be created.
All right. Okay, Rick. What came first, consciousness or matter?
I would kind of think matter, but I mean, I've got no scientific proof or anything.
So it's more of a hunch than anything else.
Yeah. I would say.
Okay.
Although I do sort of think that energy, once the energy of something is possibly moved on to something else, not necessarily the consciousness, but the energy from something, when it ceases to be, gets moved on to something else.
Okay.
But not the consciousness.
Okay, so something else will arise. We just don't know what it is. Okay. I don't know where to go from here. Are you off? Give us a final thought before you go.
Final thought. I don't know. I think it's interesting to have this sort of conversation, but I don't know. I'd like to have it more.
Yeah.
For sure.
Should we be talking about this more? I mean, there was a couple of girls coming out of the college, and when I asked them how they thought the universe began, it was like I'd hit them over the head with a bat or something like that. Is it too hard a question?
I mean, no one does have the answer, right? There are a lot of people who claim to have it. It's very hard to trust anyone in that regard. So a lot of people don't like to think about it. They like to think about day-to-day things. And with that alone, maybe we shouldn't have tech at all. Maybe we should have remained monkeys.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, so unless we're willing to grapple these super big questions, we don't deserve the technology.
I mean, if we don't want to thinking, elaborating, evolving things, then in reality we're just like monkeys who made ourselves depressed by not just eating and fucking, basically.
Yeah. Okay. We should have just stuck with throwing the bones in the air.
Yeah, we should have the 2001 reference, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all been about 2001 today. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. How did the universe begin? That's what we're asking. Thank you, Nandi. To come back if you've seen something. If you've got any other interesting points about this or something more banal.
A giant black.
Yeah.
Was it monolith kind of thing? Maybe it was all from that or something.
Did it all come out of a giant black monolith? Well, it looks like it's just you and me now, Rick. We need some more punters around the table today. I do feel that, maybe the questions are a bit too tough as a starting point. How did the universe begin? But there is a big question. How do you get something from nothing? If indeed there was nothing at the beginning of the universe. So this is Talkaoke. If you don't know what it is, it's simply about talking to this microphone. Really, whatever you want to talk about, it's kind of up to you. Come and sit down. Come and have a seat on the table of chat. That's all of you. Well, we've got a couple of people around the table. Maybe some more. Come and have a seat.
I won't take much.
Give us 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Come on, all of you. Come on, come together. Come one, come all. And this man's going to come. Yeah, you can come for 2 minutes. Tell us what you're doing to start off with. So we've got. What's your name?
Kane.
Kane.
Yep.
And
Stephen.
Stephen.
Josh.
Josh. I'm Mikey. Come and have a seat. Come and get involved in this. So, Kay, tell us. Oh, we got
Rick.
Mikey, what's your name? Kay. Sorry. I've got a programming loop there. But anyway, tell us what you're doing, Kay.
Well, I'm just helping out with the VR and mixed reality setups over there. Make sure people are enjoying themselves.
What's your platform?
Windows 10.
What kind of device are you using?
Well, we're using a laptop, Omen, and we're using a PS4 as well.
Right.
And the girl over there, Barbie, she's using a Star Wars, like a Lenovo headset that's doing Star Wars stuff.
Right, okay.
Star Wars game, but it's great. It's absolutely awesome.
And what says anything about the experience?
Just incredible. Like I haven't really tried VR, PlayStation VR before.
Yeah.
But it's just incredible. I actually feel like you're there.
Really?
You know, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have a go at that in a minute.
Yeah, especially you should try the Pixel Rip.
What's that?
Pixel Ripped. It's a demo game that's not even out yet.
Yeah.
And we're showing it on the EMR on the laptop, and it's just you're basically inside of a 8-bit game.
Right.
And it's just great. It's just absolutely great.
Crazy stuff.
Everything.
Okay. Yeah. We've got some new faces to the table. So we have got Josh, we've got Stephen, we've got Kay, I'm Mikey. What's your name? John and
Brian.
Brian, welcome. We're just starting off really. There's a bit of chat about VR. Previous conversation was all about does sci-fi create the future in the real life, and then we start moving on to talking about consciousness and the end of the universe and stuff like that. So it's kind of you haven't missed it all.
Is anybody on drugs here? Is anybody on drugs here?
Is anybody not on drugs?
Yeah, not on drugs. But
Sadly,
one of the
popped a lot of pills this morning. I'm not sure what they were.
One of the things we're talking about is: do you need to be on drugs to expand your mind? So maybe we could pick up that.
What are drugs?
I don't know. What are drugs? What do you say?
I don't know.
Stephen.
Internet says a drug is a substance that, when inhaled, injected, smoked, consumed, absorbed via patch, skin, or dissolved under the tongue, causes a temporary physiological, often psychological change in the body.
Okay.
Coming out of the O2. That's exactly how I felt coming out of O2 this morning and going 10 minutes in the wrong direction.
Okay, so can architecture be drugs? That's in a way what you're implying, bro.
Can I say this? It sounds like pussy to me.
And what's wrong with being male?
Okay.
What's wrong with female? There's no female energy.
Okay.
Come on. Let's face it. You can talk about any sexual organ that way. And initially, I was going to say it sounds like a strawberry. Frankly, you ever done like a Zen Buddhist meditation, with eating a strawberry, and how amazing and sensual of experience that can be? Total overload.
So what you're saying is,
or if you drink a Coke and it tastes like Pepsi.
Okay. Have you do that with meditation?
No, but it can be an unusual.
I think that's the idea. Mindfulness, when you pay more attention to something, and so. But any substance.
Yeah.
That's consumed, that causes temporary physiological or psychological. So I guess you would be correct.
It's temporary. It's temporary. That's the whole thing. I don't know. One of the famous gurus said, taking drugs, psychedelic drugs, is like going through the door for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But you want to go there permanently, so you can't do that with drugs.
Do you want to go there permanently? That's the question.
Does it necessarily need to be consumed or inhaled?
Well, I think this goes back to Plato's allegory of the cave. No, you don't. Yes, we all want to leave the cave eventually, but if you leave the cave and you don't return to it, what's the point? Maybe that's death.
Yeah.
The whole idea is we, as artists, as explorers, as psychonauts, we leave the cave to try to interpret whatever that is outside the cave, which we have very little to no language for, and then we come back to the cave to try to express it to the rest of the people still stuck there. So no, it's not a permanent state, right?
Yeah.
Actually, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I think crossed this really well. He meditated, I forget the characters' names, but they meditated so much that he actually started to leave this plane, and he said, "No, I'm not going to do this anymore because I want to be here right now." Yeah. Because there's a time to leave. And I don't know if it's a permanent. To your point, it is a temporary, right?
Okay, but that may not be such a bad thing.
But the interesting thing with VR, I reckon, is that eventually a lot of people will be permanently plugged in.
Yeah.
The first experiments were done with this down in Reading with implanted chips and stuff. A lot of all the kids who've been pierced or tattooed, it's like good training, ready for being permanently embedded.
Right.
Then you will just make your choice. You're either going to be constantly in VR, tripping out, or you're not. I did. By the way, I did one of the first ever European VR club back in 1993, I think, called Cyberseed, and it's great to see how it's all come forward, because at that time computer graphics, Pixar and stuff was so far ahead of what we were getting with VR. But last we started to get something, and now's the flip over point when we should actually start to see and feel, all this stuff. Is there any haptic stuff here, do you know?
Yes, right behind, right over there. We've got a couple of haptic vests over there that the boat owners will probably be setting them up on the Oculus to try and at one point or another throughout the event.
Okay, so where do we want to go with this conversation? Do we want to talk about the technology? Do we want to talk about this permanence?
Cyber sex.
What do you want to say? Look. Yeah. Okay, it goes back to the haptic technology, I suppose. Will cyber sex be our everyday reality in the future?
I personally, as a lover myself.
Yeah.
Okay. I think there's something. Thanks. There's something. That's kind of, should I say, skewed about the idea. That you can have sex. Sure. So what's sex and what's love? And you can have objects that vibrate and maybe sort of feel like another creature. But right. But I think it's part of our problem today as a society, where we separate these things so much, right?
Right.
And I'm not sure. Can you make love to a machine? I know you could fuck one. I'm sure you could fuck one.
You can get married to one now. There's big thing. And the porn industry has always been ahead of the Hollywood, the Hollywood industry. Like, for example, when whether it's converting films to video and then DVD and Blu-ray and so on and so forth in terms of entertainment. So then the next thing, maybe they'll do porn in VR.
VR
so
porn.
We're pleasuring ourselves to VR.
Okay. What? Okay. So we're talking about cyber sex. What's the future of cyber sex? Is it a dead end? Is it?
Well, come on. Over the recent years of my life as a single man, I'm amazed how many people want to do this sort of like what I'll call internet sex stuff.
Right.
They want to have kind of long distance intimacy, like via Skype and whatnot. Now, this is not even my suggestion. It's often brought to me by these ladies that they want to go to it, and I have to tell them, look, I'm not interested in this. Actually, I need a person that's here physically.
Right.
That's when we start this stuff. This whole remote sex stuff. But apparently, for a lot of people, it works. Personally, I think it's more like augmented masturbation.
Okay. Is cyber sex augmented masturbation? Can it ever be more than that? Could it connect long-distance lovers?
Let's be positive.
What do you call sex with an inflatable? Do you call that balloon sex? I think you still call it just jerking off.
I don't know. We're talking about cyber sex. Does Metal Mickey, has he got a sex life?
Could Mickey make love?
Could
Mickey make love?
Come and sit down. When you came up with the concept of Metal Mickey, did you consider what might happen in terms of cyber sex and how? It was just
Mickey was just flirting with a few of the female passerbys a few moments ago.
Yeah. So did you ever envisage a cyber-sexual universe?
There are robots in Japan.
Yeah.
Beautiful-looking lady robots. $650,000. Buy a real one for that.
Personally, I don't think they have a lot of beauty myself. I think they're totally artificial and contrived, and part of me sort of understands it, but I think it's actually sort of a part of our condition. We were talking about this a little earlier. There's something that's sick about it to me, because we live in a time where we really need to connect to each other.
Yeah.
Right? And when we turn to machines to give us what other human beings should be able to give us, and we rely on them. I think there's something really missing and something really perverse in that. You know, I mean, there's in this time more than ever, we need to remember what it is to be human and to be with other humans.
All right. I mean, what about
using machines more than men?
Okay, so we need to. I feel that we need to get the female point of view on this cyber sex debate. What's your name?
I'm Andy.
Andy, we got Josh. We had Stephen. There's the other Stephen. We got Johnny. We got Kay. We have got John and Brian and the other Steve, and we've got Rin.
Female point of view.
Come closer. So we're talking about cyber sex, and is there a future for cyber sex? Is it going to, in a way, alienate us more than we already are? Is it going to be a breakthrough where we can connect with long-distance partners?
I think as soon as they make the male sex dolls as realistic as the female ones, you're all redundant.
Okay. Okay.
I gotta throw back in there. I mean, this gentleman just brought it up. I mean,
come sit down. You're making me nervous.
Ladies have been fucking robots for a long time. They might only be dicks, but yeah, exactly. So, if anyone ever wants to talk about objectification, you know, I mean, how many stores can you go to right now and buy a virtual? I mean, not a virtual cock, like a animatronic cock, whatever you want to call it, down the street.
But I mean, is it?
So, and anyone that's going to sit there and say, well, as soon as they have men like that, well, I don't know. I think you've already reduced us to simply dicks, and you can go buy them just about anywhere, and you have been able to do that for years.
Okay. All right. Okay. Where's Rin? We need to come back with. I still feel like we need the female perspective on this.
We're actually just the same person because you'll never see us in one place at one time. We're obviously just the busy people.
Yeah.
I've forgotten what the question was.
Well, basically what we're talking about, we're talking about cyber sex, and there's a question about. And Stephen was kind of saying that, in a way, we've kind of got it with. I guess he was talking about dildos and vibrators.
Sorry. No, right. They model the sex robots, right, on porn stars and all the rest. That is not a dildo, right? There's a big difference between some porn star made into a big doll and just like the magic unicorn horn you buy from.
Yeah.
You know what I love the way he's the only one that laughed at that. So
yeah. Okay, so
I don't have one.
Okay, so it's. I mean, what is a few? I mean, I guess this is future focused, and we are talking about cyberdelics and all this stuff. What is the future of this? Is there going to be an evolution? Is there a market for this? Is there a call for this?
I just got told that we're not allowed to talk about sex. So by the desk. So.
What?
Can we talk about death then?
Surely we can. Maybe we.
Let's find forbidden subjects. Well, so what do you think is the forbidden subject? What's the forbidden subject?
Well, apparently sex is a forbidden subject.
What about blowing up this building? I think anarchy. I mean, really what we want from VR is anarchy.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Well, will VR create an anarchistic?
Absolutely, safe anarchy. I mean, there'll be a terrific kick from finding somebody's city that they've done and then blowing it to hell,
Okay.
The man that built Metal Mickey has just left your table. You had an opportunity to speak to him, and you didn't.
Okay, well, I mean, I did find out his name.
Maybe later.
We did find out his name. Maybe he got. He could have told us something about.
Young, you don't know what Metal Mickey is, do you?
No, I don't. I've seen Metal Mickey. I'm old enough to have seen Metal Mickey. Yeah, but I think I was only about 5 when it was on, so I can't really remember any of the plot lines.
I kind of remember good old Metal Mickey from when I was in when I was like a kid, and he used to be on TV all the time. I absolutely loved him. Grew up watching Metal Mickey. Wonderful guy.
Okay, so where are we going to go with this conversation? I mean, we could abstract it a little bit and talk about, maybe we could talk about like love in the future, long distance love, teleportation. We can still keep this subject alive just by, negotiating the highways of chat. We could move on to a different subject, Stephen.
Well, not too long ago, Steve, that was sitting down there, talked about a cave. Now, if he's talking about the cave that I remember, I'm not sure what the actual concept idea was.
Basically, Plato's cave.
Basically, the cave that I'm thinking of is there's like these three brothers that were chained throughout all their life. All they known was the inside of this cave, and on the walls they saw shadows of monsters and awful things that they see that were from the outside of the cave. One day, one of these brothers was actually brothers or sisters was released and went out, and he actually saw what caused the shadows that they were fearing throughout the entire life. The massive monsters were little chihuahua dogs as they passed through the entrance of the caves, and that is sort of like how we perceive our technology in our future. We get a fair perspective of what we think of VR is going to be. Ready Player One, Better Than Life from Red Dwarf is supposed to be implanted into our head, and everyone's just walking around like zombies because they don't know the real world around them. But when we go out and we see that it's not going to be we see that we're playing VR Wipeout over there, or augmented reality. It is VR, and the future of humanity is not going to be as fearful as we believe it's going to be, because that's our imagination.
Sorry. So, Josh, John, Brian, what do you think about this? Is it like Plato's cave, that the shadows of the real reality?
I'm not sure. I think it is Plato's.
Is it going to be a bit like that? The come and join in.
Well, it's never how we imagine it, is it?
Yeah.
The future is never how we imagine it.
Okay, well, I mean, earlier on in the previous session, people were saying that it's the imagination that creates the future. So how do those two things?
It creates a sort of version of it. I mean, I used to read so much science fiction when I was younger.
Yeah.
And the distortion that we have now is nothing. I mean, I used to read Dan Dare comics. So I thought by the time I was this age, I'd be zapping around the universe. Well,
okay. Are you disappointed?
Well, of course I am. Yeah.
Okay, so you maybe could get your 2D back from those comics now. Just take them back.
No, I don't like comics.
No. Okay, so a little bit of disappointment from John. Are you disappointed by sci-fi? But not by sci-fi, but by the reality that we don't have the flying skateboards or cars. We don't have any interstellar travel. What other things do we not have that with science fiction? Aliens?
We just don't seem to have any aliens.
Okay.
I expect to be surrounded by aliens by now.
Okay.
If we do have aliens, they're incredibly shy creatures.
Yeah, okay.
When you think of all the sightseeings, what's the word? Seeings of aliens.
Yeah, sightings.
Sightings.
Yeah.
Sightings.
Yeah.
Well, there have been, Jimmy Carter said he saw one in the 70s. Kennedy said he saw one on a plane. And they said, what was that? And
Hang on a sec, just come and have a seat on the table of chat. We're talking about, have you ever seen an alien? An alien, do you think they exist? We have got Josh, we have got Johnny, we have got John, we've got Brian and Stephen. I'm Mikey. What's your name?
I'm Jemima, nice to meet you.
Jemima, nice to meet you too. What we're talking about, there's a few things. It's mostly about sci-fi, and we've got Johnny here, who's the conceptual creator of Metal Mickey. We also had the actual creator of Metal Mickey, and there's a certain feeling of disappointment from some, let's say, some of the more experienced members of this panel, that it didn't turn out like it was supposed to in the year 2018. There's no interstellar travel, there's no aliens, there's no nothing really. We've got
colony on Mars. We've not even got a colony on Mars. So maybe we have it. That we know of. Maybe it's secret. It's the other side.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a certain sense of disappointment. But
four, almost, haven't we?
What do you mean we've got 9? That's been a gone now. It's 2018 now.
Yeah, I know, but it's taken that long to get there.
Okay, so 1984. You're talking about the book 1984.
All the Big Brother and all the.
So we have a surveillance culture in that sense.
Well, what about we got things like let's say Back to the Future. They gave an image of what the future will be like in 2015. 2015 has come and gone. We don't have hoverboards. We don't have laceless shoes. But do we? We kind of went sideways into our own future. We do not have pill-form food simply because pills are awful. Thank you.
Yeah.
But
2001, A Space Odyssey. I mean, that's what I imagined when 2001 came along, and it was like the pits.
Okay, so it's a bit of
well, we've got like powdered coffee and like ice cream and things, and Americans have like powder. You can powder everything, like eggs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It may not be pill form, but it's close enough.
Okay, so that you've got instant coffee, so you may not have a hoverboard, but you've got instant coffee. Let me bring Jemima in on this.
Hi.
Do you feel a little bit disappointed by the future as it stands, or as it might be?
I just hate like everyone's always on their phone, even I am right now.
Okay, and that wasn't.
I hate like how people don't write letters anymore. I love getting the stuff in the post. No one writes me letters anymore. It's like texting everyone.
Okay, so I mean, in a way, none of those comics predicted that, did they? That everyone would just be on their phone scrolling through.
We're supposed to be speaking to our phones, on our watches.
Yeah,
Dick Tracy watches.
Yeah,
you know.
But you weren't getting obsessed with it in the comics that you are now. Are you disappointed with the future, how it's turned out? Kind of. Come and sit down. Come and get involved. We got Josh. We got Jemima. We got John. We got Brian. We got Stephen and Mikey. What's your name?
Anakin.
Anakin. Welcome. I mean, the future. How's it turned out? Are you disappointed?
Well, I've been there, and it's. I suppose it's all right. Yeah, it's could be better. I mean, Trump's been going on for a bit too long, but you know, I mean, they put his brain in a jar and they put it into a robot, and now it's like in the year 5300, it's just he's doing it all the time.
Sure, of course you can.
It's mental.
Okay, so Trump will actually be going for quite a long time. What do you think of the future? Are you disappointed by it? Come and join him. We have got Josh, we've got Jemima, we've got Anakin, we've got John, we've got Brian, we've got Stephen, or Steve, is it Steve or Stephen? Steve, and Mikey. Come and have a seat. You're not committed to anything, just give 2 minutes. Just leave whenever you want to. We're just hearing about the future from Anakin. Apparently Donald Trump will be preserved for at least another 3,000.
They're going to make him into a robot. I think they're calling him Darth something. Darth Vader. I'm not sure.
Darth Donald.
And I don't know. Plagueis.
Darth
I think it might have been that one. Either that or Vader. I'm not. I hear a lot of things.
Okay. We've got a new face to the table. What's your name?
Yinka.
Say something about the Trump thing. First off, I think Trump's doing something for the American people that, even though he's getting made fun in the press and stuff, compare that to his predecessor, who ran on hope and change and all that, was unable to accomplish, if any of that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So what you're saying is basically Barack Obama went for hope and change, and Trump is going for what? What's Trump going for?
He's making America great again.
Yeah, and that's probably an easier thing to accomplish.
He's used less. Used less military action than his predecessor. Before, While Obama got a Nobel Peace Prize, he droned a wedding.
Okay.
Imagine if that was your daughter's or son's wedding. That wouldn't be very nice.
Okay. Well, hang on a sec. Let me just bring Yinka. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I actually have an opinion on
Anakin, hang on.
So Obama inherited a bankrupt economy, built it back. Now, a new president his policy doesn't actually kick in for the first 2 years of his term.
Yeah.
So whatever Trump is claiming credit for right now is the after effects of Obama's policies.
Right, okay. Was hope and change too ambitious? I think that's the implication. Was hope...
It might have been, but it's a lot better than what Obama actually picked up from George Bush.
Okay. All right, okay, we've got a new face to say. Easter.
Yeah.
At the moment we're talking about the future. Apparently, according to Anakin's vision of the future, Trump will exist for at least another 3,000 years.
They're putting him into Darth Vader's body.
But But Josh's point was that Barack Obama was a little bit too ambitious. It was all about hope and change and an equal society, whereas Trump has just gone for Make America Great Again, which is probably an easier thing to achieve. So is he more realistic in a way? Therefore, he's going to achieve what he set out to do.
Obama was just the same as Bush. They just called him, what was it? With Bush, you got the basically the thing, without the velvet glove, the hard thing. And with Obama, you got the hard...
the steel hand
the
in the
steel hand, but with a velvet glove. Except
Mm.
Obama didn't use as many troops. He just used the drone a lot. I think the two best presidents, without a doubt, Bill Clinton and John F. Kennedy.
Okay, should they try and regrow John F. Kennedy and put him into a robot? Okay.
Well, you say that he's being realistic, yeah, but is realism a good thing? Can't we change that realism? I think when I think of realism, I think of like when someone says I'm just being real with you. That's usually
bad.
It's usually a bad thing, isn't it? I mean,
Let me get real with you.
Not having to get this. Genuinely just a
Is it a good idea to be realistic like Donald Trump, or is it better to?
Obama, you said he's about hope and an equal society. Isn't that exactly what America would need? Isn't that exactly? Think about how many people are in poverty. Think about how many. That's not great.
He didn't deliver that either. The country is more divided than ever. So why do you think Trump? Do you think the majority? Hillary only got New York and another state. Hillary got 2 states. So that would mean the majority of all America, including black voters, would be racist, wouldn't they?
Okay, all right, okay. Well, there's a few different points here. I mean, I'm quite interested in this idea. Is it a good idea to be realistic, actually, even if we accept that Trump is realistic? Esther, have you got any views on this?
Well,
Grab the mic.
Yeah, I thought I'm in a discussion about future, not politics. First.
Well, I mean, will there be any politics?
Okay.
Do you think there won't be any politics in the future?
I think there will be like loads of good and there won't be like bad emotions.
Yeah.
So I think there is not going to be many of debates about what's good and bad and not much of fighting. So I think just more union and agreement. I think.
Okay,
I'm not sure how it's going to be achieved.
Okay, hang on. Let me just hang on a second. What was that?
Yeah, I was just saying that is hope and change right there.
Are you agreeing with that thing? Will there be more positive thoughts in the future?
Actually, I think it's a cyclical thing that we do. We go through all these cycles, every so many decades. Who would have believed that in 2016, 2017, Nazis will be marching in America, And it's just that human beings don't learn from history. We might have more technology or what have you, but mentally we are pretty much the same, and we go through this cycle. We're just going through another cycle of it.
Okay. Do people agree with Yinka about that? Can we learn from history?
Definitely. Sorry to keep going on, but I do completely agree with you. We could learn from history.
Anakin, let me just get a final thought from Jemima. Give us your final thought.
I don't know what to say now.
Do you feel optimistic about the future? Are you more like an Obama or more of a Trump? In terms of your outlook, how you see I
think Trump is entertaining. Don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I don't really watch the news. So
but I mean, what about you? Are you optimistic about the future, or are you pessimistic about the future?
I'm just going with the flow. I'm going to see what happens. I mean, it hasn't affected me yet. We'll see what happens with the whole Brexit thing.
Okay, so it's more just surf the wave kind of thing.
Take every day as it comes, I guess.
Okay, that sounds pretty optimistic. Let me just come back. So I interrupted that thought.
I mean, yeah, it's. I do think we can learn from the past. I think. Obviously, everyone goes on about it. I mean, it was 75 years ago, but we did have the Holocaust. I think we can learn from that, where. I mean, you say a whole country couldn't be racist. Yeah, good. A whole world was once. I mean, I'm not being funny. About 60 years ago, it was 1968, and if you're a black man or woman, you'd probably be a maid, and you'd be forced to stand up and give your seat to someone else on the bus if they wanted to sit down.
Okay.
We can definitely learn from the past.
Can we learn from history?
Yeah, during that time as well, they also had signs, even back then, that said, no dogs, no Irish. And coming from a half Irish family myself, even back then, you had two Irish people in politics. You had John Kennedy and his brother was running, and both of them got shot and died trying to
defend
the country. And also,
Josh, is that that situation doesn't exist anymore. We've got less racism.
It doesn't have to be. It can also, you know, America is still a young country, and also it depends. You know, there are a lot of people who aren't right in the head, and that's just not in the United States. That's over here as well.
Okay.
Also, on the news here, we were talking about technology as well. There was on the BBC that said that a memory could be in your DNA. It could be put in your DNA, and that robots were going to like take over and stuff.
Okay, that's way too many. That's right. It's kind of up to the panel which part of that they want to take up. Yinka, do you think that we are learning from history? Are we not learning from history? I mean, there's also these questions about genetic memories and stuff like that, which you're very welcome to jump on any of those themes that Josh has thrown in. But
I think we do learn, but I don't think we learn optimally.
Yeah, so we learn, but not very quickly, not very efficiently.
And part of that is because we always have our own preconceived notion about things, and we look for something that reinforces what we already believe.
Right.
So, yeah, we do learn, or some learn, but not a great deal of people learn.
So in a way, it's something in between that we learn, but in just a very sort of like...
So a little bit of something I've been trying to get. I think that we've got a little bit of a barrier or a big hurdle ahead of us when it comes to learning. Everything that we seem to be striving towards is dictated by the media.
Right.
Now, because of I'm probably going to trigger some people, and I'm sorry. Well, actually, no.
Here we go. Yeah.
Media is starting to be slowly taken over by social justice, SJW warriors.
What is this?
SJW is one of the currently big things that's going out on the internet, throwing everything from political correctness, feminism, third wave, fourth wave feminism, black rights as well. One reason why I wanted to talk to you about this. They're transferring the media big time. For instance, they're going to say we're going to get rid of all the male characters and have female characters such as like female Thor, female Iron Man, female Spider-Man. Right. I just watched an entire series of a series called Black Lightning.
Yeah.
And I thought it was an awesome film. It was a great series because if I go out saying if you got a political statement, don't try and change someone else's IP. Make one yourself. And someone done that, and they created Black Lightning, a totally awesome series.
So what are you saying?
Now in Black Lightning. Black Lightning, they've got it's a whole gang black culture with white police officers who are total corrupt. The white guys are really the devils of society on top, whilst the black people are being total trodden and stood down. Now, this is what I'm saying about social justice getting their mitts into media, and media teaching our platform, teaching our society.
Yeah.
People will start believing that this is the actual reality. So they see it on the media that the black people are being trodden down by white guys, and they think that then becomes their reality. So this is why I wanted to have a word with you about this.
Okay.
How do you feel about this?
Is it the reality? Is it? Have you heard of the term social justice warrior?
Warrior?
Yeah.
SJW.
Yeah.
No, I'm not that young. Maybe that's why.
I've not heard of it, you have to say, yeah.
But I have to say, we live in a fairly open society, and the truth of the matter is, every one of us, in one way or another, is prejudiced. So you might be prejudiced towards if a white guy walks into some parts of Brixton right now, you might not feel very comfortable. Just like a black guy might walk into parts of Millwall or, I don't know, somewhere in Essex and not feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So, in a way, we live in an open world that wants to believe that it's making strides. But in a funny way, we are making strides because the experience of a black guy who gives up his seat on a bus in 1968 is not my experience.
Yeah.
So maybe we have moved forward, but there are still issues that black people are facing today.
Okay.
We also live in a very diverse world now. where we have lots of mixed race people like myself. I'm half Irish, half Turkish.
Yeah.
And you've already got lots of half Jamaican, half British people.
Yeah.
We've had that for a long time.
Yeah.
This isn't new.
I mean, are you optimistic? I mean, I guess one of the main themes running through this is about this thing. Can we learn from history? Are we actually progressing? Give us a final thought.
I think
Before you go,
yeah, maybe a final question. So I wanted to ask, what do you think was the biggest humanity's mistake, and how are you trying to change it?
Okay, well, it's a big one, but I'm going to have to ask you the same question. What was humanity's biggest mistake?
I asked the question.
Have you got any thoughts yourself?
I don't know. Let me think. I'm not. I have to think about it.
Okay, well, think about it. Come back to us. Okay, as ISTA is going, we don't have to follow that thread. It's kind of up to us where we want to take this conversation.
I'm just going to, because I have to get back to
class. Well, thanks for coming to sit down.
But in terms of humanity's biggest mistake, in my view, I think it's a notion that there's something called color.
Right.
Because it really doesn't exist.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll do my final. In fact, John Kennedy once said, he said, our most basic common link is that we all inhabit this small planet, we all breathe the same air, and we all cherish our children's futures. That's what he said.
Okay.
I gotta take off.
Okay. All right. Well, we're losing people, but we're hemorrhaging people badly here, so we need to make the conversation more compelling. Maybe we should go back to the teledildonics conversation. All right. Give us a final thought.
Final thought, as what we were saying, is we're on a very small planet. Basically, each atom in our body is washed away and replaced at least 7 times in our lifetime.
Yeah.
And approximately every atom that exists in your body may have at one point came from me, and vice versa. For everyone.
All right. So I've got some atoms from you, and it's not just from shaking your hand or whatever, or breathing the same air, or maybe it would, but I don't know. Anyway, Anakin, it's just you and me right now.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I don't know the guy's name who was sat there.
That's Josh. Yeah.
Yeah. I think what Josh was talking about, how it's more diverse. We have more of a diverse, not just a diverse country, but a diverse world.
Yeah.
Because there are many more mixed race people, many more people like that. And at the moment, you think, isn't Trump trying to stop that? Isn't he trying to get immigrants and Mexicans and Muslims out? And the people that would naturally, and that's what I don't understand about Trump. If he wants an equal society, then why is he kicking out people like Mexicans? Why is he doing a Muslim ban? Why is that happening?
Okay, so you don't really follow that Trump is really making America great.
I think, was it? It sounds quite mean, but was it?
Was it ever great?
Was it ever actually great?
Okay.
Was England ever actually great? Apart from the name, was England actually that amazing? I don't think it was. No.
All right. Okay. So any country particularly great? Do you think?
Well, I think I don't want to sound like an old fart, but I think everywhere has problems and everywhere has.
Whoa! What was that? Hello. I don't know. That's
Politics bell.
Yeah.
Oh, it's probably Metal Mickey.
Yeah, it's Metal Mickey self-destructing.
That's it. Politics. It out,
so anyway, Donald, we're talking about countries. You don't think?
I think everywhere's got its problems and everywhere's got its
strengths.
Strengths, yeah. No one is perfect. Not a single country has never been involved in some sort of scandal.
Yeah.
And so I think, why does everyone think we have to be better than the other people?
Okay.
Why is there that constant thing of win? You've got to win this.
Yeah.
You've got to be better than the rest. I think because everyone's obsessed with being better than someone else, being better than everyone else, being not just a leader but also someone who is the best, and the coolest. Why is that a thing? Why is that a thing? Why do we have to? Why can't we just be nice?
Okay, why don't we just be nice? Are we a bit too competitive? Are we obsessed with making our country great? Be it America, be it Britain, I'm going to say. Rick, have you got a final thought? Or have you've come to sit down?
Well, I was just making the table busy.
You're just making us
the thing with Trump, though, is he totally contradicts himself all the time. He literally plays to the media. It is all about his image and how he's perceived, and hence why he's paying all these various lawyers things to cover up stuff. And
you've picked up a contradiction, but actually Trump is full of contradictions. That's his modus operandi, is what you're saying.
So in a way, I don't think he wants to get rid of immigrants from the US because they help run his hotels and stuff like that. So he needs they're cheap labour. So he needs that in a way.
It's just something
he's
just something that he's saying, basically.
To make himself, people elect him, basically.
Yeah. Okay, so in a way, it's an era of politics where you just say stuff, you don't even really mean it. Okay. Is it time for another break? Is that your final thought, Anakin?
I think my final thought is, I think things like politics and all of that, it used to be about doing what people need, and I think these days it's not. It's just about money. It's doing what you yourself need. If I'm some politician, it's not doing things for the people anymore.
Yeah.
It's I think doing things for yourself, and that's such a shame. I think that's such a shame that it's just about money these days.
Is that also just a cycle? Do you think we will move around?
I really hope so. I do think that that needs to be some sort of revolution. Otherwise, our planet is going to be buggered. I mean,
the planet needs a revolution.
Planet needs a revolution. I think we as a human society need a revolution.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, but I'm a hippie, so what do I know?
Revolution
Any final thought?
Evolution? I don't know what it's.
Revolution or evolution? Have we left it possibly too late for evolution? I don't know. Anyway, this is all food for thought. This has been Talkaoke. We'll be back shortly. Thanks very much, Anakin, for coming to get involved. We're here all day, so you're welcome to come along on the table of chat.